hospitals. The 35 million.
We must move from budget to expenditure because those two are different. That is what the auditor is asking. CFO, did you not see what the auditor was asking, which was extremely straightforward, that you just needed to provide for audit review analysis of food procured per type? Auditor General, was that provided? Analysis of food procured per type?
It wasn't provided, Chair.
Distribution list of beneficiaries, was that provided?
At the time of audit, it was not provided.
And again, they've said that there was no, and then bases used on beneficiaries identification and selection. Was that provided for audit?
No, it was not provided.
So everything we are dealing with here is speculation. The only part you have attempted to justify is what has come from education. The rest on health or whatever other function
Yeah, the CO health is here.
is not on record.
I have the CO health here.
CO health, can you point us to the annexure with the explanation that you are going to make, you're about to make? Remember,
yeah, thank you, Chair.
Just a minute. Remember, these written responses were tabled by the governor under oath. So we take them to be true. So if you're going to say something outside of this, tell us so that we put you under oath.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe just a clarification on health, because I think during the audit, the health department was able to account for the food procured under health, and that's why it is not in the audit query.
So this 104 million does not include the health?
I think it is in the within the budget.
Officer, how do you know that health is outside the 104 million?
Yeah, because, okay, I'm saying because it is part of the food and rations in the budget. Allocation for health is about 40 million. But we were able to account for all of it, and it was not queried.
Who told you it was not queried? Who said so? Who told you?
Maybe
use the words of Sifuna.
The auditors can confirm.
Who told you? The governor has given you an opportunity to explain because he says you have an explanation. And you are saying it was not queried.
Officer, for your benefit, the whole amount of 104 was queried. So whereas your colleague seated next to you has been able to provide samples for his portion, 10, and at some point the governor was saying the CEO for health should carry the entire cross. Governor, do you usually see these people, or Samburu is such a vast county that you don't have meetings before you come to the Senate?
Thanks. Sorry, Senator, would tell us that if you are doing a financial year, all financial year, and you've allocated over 70 million to education, and I know it's part of these food rations, there is no way the CEO is only telling us about 10 million. It's not possible.
No, that's when we agreed that maybe the numbers, and they can sort that out. And I said, let's assume it was 70 million. It still leaves 34 million. Yeah, and that 34 million you said is accounted for under health. And the Chief Officer Health claims that he was not queried. And that's why, to avoid a situation where we look like we are scandalizing you guys, I might even want to call timeout for this team to go and organize itself.
Because Chair, I was wondering, Governor, if you were me seated here as a senator, how do you reconcile the position that have been taken by the health chief officer and your position and what the education CEO is telling us? How do you reconcile that? Who is telling the truth between the three of you?
It's absurd because, as the chairman put it rightfully, who told him, the way he said, that this is not an education. So I want to agree with that. But I think, Chair, I want to ask kindly the auditors here to also help us. Because within this 104, which is lumped as food rations, I know for sure that this food for rations is from different departments. There must be for education, as you said, there must be for...
Yeah. You know, Governor, if you are to answer this question and your officers, the question was very clear. However, analysis of the food procured per type. When you are coming to the Senate, is it possible to have the food procured per type? Maize, this number of bags. Beans, this number of bags. Lentils, this number of bags. And then, if you ask something like the basis used on beneficiary identification stroke selection. It is possible, if it is food for ECDs, is there a policy on food so that you say all ECDs are supposed to get this amount of food, maybe number of grams per child, so the ones who have more kids, a policy, you bring a policy. That's, we identified the schools and the amount we gave because there's a policy. It's possible to answer these questions properly if you read with the officers and answer the questions specifically depending on the questions that are asked. Otherwise, if you look at these annexures and everything we've answered, it doesn't answer the questions.
Senator Chirage, when you look at the time, you can give us a comment that moves us forward.
Chair, I think I agree with you that this entity needs time out, because there is no way in the audit practice that auditor will generate 104 million without the auditing entity providing necessary schedule. So it is not from abstract, it is not from vacuum. It is generated from the schedules that were provided by the entity during the audit. So Chair, looking at 104 million or whichever the number the entity wants to move to, I think will not do justice if only 10 million can be accounted for, yet the entity is not providing further information. So Chair, with your indulgence, looking at the time, and we are supposed to reconvene in the next 5 minutes, we adjourn and give the entity and the governor further time to provide clarity, because at the end of the day, Chair, the people of Samburu would want to know each and every shilling that we give to Samburu will accounted blow by blow. I think that will do justice. I yield back, Chair.
Me to also,
Governor?
I want to seek some intelligence also on that. Please allow me as a committee, because I also want to know everything about the 104, and I know it is there, only that these people are messed up. You see it out there too. Please allow me to do a written response, a very good written response on each and every item that was bought, on the beneficiaries, on the amount of all this 104, and send to the committee.
Remember, at the beginning of this meeting, we indicated that we did an affirmative action allocation of 374 million. And that one is not hypothetical. That one is actual. That one, irrespective of the outcome of DORA, Samburu is going to get 300 million plus over and above every other county. But when we have a query on 104 million, which we are not making sense out of, it makes some of us who are not beneficiaries start feeling bad, that we are throwing good money after bad money. So yes, we will require a very detailed explanation, but we have covered probably just about 30% of the issues that are here. But my experience with Samburu is that today we have done better than we have ever done before. Because in the past, we have dealt more with procedural and technicalities and extraneous matters. At least today we are looking at the numbers. At least today we are speaking to the professionals. At least today we are putting to task the persons given responsibility under the PFM